Hey, everybody, welcome back to episode 5. We're so happy you're back with us today. We're going to continue sort of our talk, addressing the whole body on mind, body, spirit. But today we're really going to focus in on something called the aroma touch technique. Now, my original training, my mentor, my very first mentor always told me that, Jen, if you just work on the physical, the emotions will come, right? And which is true. As I've mentioned, if you were listening to the last episode, we talked a lot about how it's, emotions that are connected to the organs aren't linear, right? It's a circular thing. And so that's definitely the truth. But if we can work on the physical and the emotional simultaneously, why wouldn't we? Right, Carrie?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit more today. And I think that that's one thing that I've learned is that sometimes we get really hyper focused on like one area of healing and one way that we feel really confident to help people with healing. And not to say that that isn't that's a bad thing, but I think that when we only focus on one area, we really neglect how it can all work together. So that's kind of what the Lord has shown me, over the last few months. And so we are going to be talking about the aroma touch technique today primarily, and it is a technique um, that doTERRA actually came up with. Dr. Hill, who was the chief medical officer and is super brilliant in all things essential oils, he came up with this technique as a way to apply essential oils in a topical manner over different meridians of the body that connect to different systems in the body, and also to couple that with aromatic use, which kind of takes it to the next level. In the last episode, we talked a lot about using essential oils in an aromatic way, along with a technique called tapping or emotional freedom technique. And so, this technique, the aroma touch technique that we're going to tell you about today, actually combines using essential oils topically and aromatically, which brings it to the next level. And so, we're talking about this specific technique because we want to give you tools that you can use in your health. Because honestly, if I can generalize, I would say that most of the people listening to this podcast probably only focus most of their efforts on physical health. And so we're trying to give you different tools that you can, and honestly, let me pause there just a second. What am like hearing when I get feedback from clients or talking to people, people are frustrated because they feel like they're doing all the right things. I hear that
And they
constantly.
are. I just
They
want to
are.
say that you
Yeah.
are. You
Yes.
are doing the right things, and you're doing the right things. It's just, I think sometimes there is an emotional piece which usually I would say 9 times out of 10 is not getting addressed, and
Right.
that can sometimes be the missing link.
Yes. So, and I don't think it's by accident that we get frustrated whenever we feel like we're doing all the right things, but it's really God's invitation to invite him in and go to deeper levels of healing. And so if you're feeling very frustrated because you think you're doing all the right things, it's not that you're not doing the right things. It's just that there's probably more. There's probably more that the Lord wants to show you in healing. And we're talking about these tools that can help you sort of peel back the layers, because there are so many layers to healing. And honestly, do we ever actually get there?
Right.
I mean, we're all kind of on a journey, including
That's
us
right.
and everybody else. And so God is constantly inviting us to the next level of just healing, but it has to be connected with Him. It's what He's shown me. And so this technique is a way, again, that we can just begin to, and we'll really continue the healing process and just help to address several different modes of healing at the same time. And so, like I have said before, I've been in the essential world for a really long time, and I've mainly sort of been focused, I guess, on my teachings and then really in using them myself on the physical benefits. I mean, I knew they had emotional benefits. I definitely wasn't oblivious to that, but that's not really what I focused on. But my lens has been shifted a little bit, and I am excited to just learn all of the ways that I probably have been getting benefits over the years, but didn't even realize it, and almost, I guess, be a little bit more targeted in my modes of using essential oils, so that I can just kind of continue this healing process. And so This technique, I do like it because I feel like it's very effective and it's pretty simple to do. And again, using the different modes of application, the topical and the aromatic together, really are unique. Most of the time, we're just using one or the other, or internal, of course, which we're not going to talk a lot about today. But using those two together is really powerful. And so, Jen, do you just want to talk about like the 4 different areas of health that this particular
Sure.
technique focuses on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to add, this technique, obviously, as Carrie mentioned, is aromatic and topical. But I wanted to point out, because this was something that really caught my attention, was it was really a way of applying essential oils, maybe for another person, especially a loved one. I've done this on my sons, as a way to create a connection beyond the physical. And so, obviously we're using them physically, topically, but also aromatically, but there's a connection there. And I think that's kind of an important piece.
Yeah.
It's a gift for someone. And
It
not
is.
that you can't do this on yourself. And I'm sure Carrie will talk about that. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's a really important piece. But
Definitely.
so some of the oils that are within the Aroma Touch, the first 2 oils that you'll use, which are balance and lavender, are specifically for stress. So this is to calm the nervous system, relax the nervous system, as we mentioned before, to get you into that parasympathetic or that rest and digest response. And then there is the next set of oils, and that is really focused on the immune system. So the On Guard, these are high antioxidant oils to support the immune system, as well as tea tree. So tea tree, many of you have heard of tea tree, of course, antifungal, antibacterial, also anti-inflammatory. And again, these are the next 2, and they're in a specific order for a specific reason, correct, Carrie? I'm not as familiar with the
Yeah.
Aroma Touch as Carrie is. Obviously, this is kind of her wheelhouse, but these
Yeah.
are in order for a reason, correct?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'll share about a little bit about the technique and then also how easy it is to incorporate it. So we'll talk more about that.
Sure. So
Okay.
then the next piece is the inflammatory piece. So we really want to help just bring down inflammation and the musculoskeletal. So with Aroma Touch, this helps just to relieve tension, increase circulation, and then Deep Blue, which I love Deep Blue. When I first started getting exposed to oils through Carrie, this was one of my favorite things, especially on my shoulders, and your neck where you carry a lot of tension. But the Deep Blue is really to soothe inflammation and help to reduce the soreness and tightness in the muscles. And then lastly is wild orange and peppermint. And these are really again, to balance the autonomic nervous system. So remember, we have 2 arms of the autonomic nervous system, the go, 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 which is your sympathetics, and then your parasympathetics. So the wild orange is to help to relieve stress. And then the peppermint is basically to help bring oxygen to the cell and energize the cell and the body. And so this is a little bit of a pick-me-up, right, Care?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of
And
people use it. Go ahead.
no, sorry. I was just saying peppermint helps drive in all the other oils too. So the technique is to really apply them in like a layered approach. And so that's best to do when you're using essential oils so that each one can get absorbed and work in their own unique way. And so just a really basic way to explain the technique, as Jen mentioned, the oils that are used, you apply down the back and on the feet and also on the back of the ears, and kind of massage the ears a little bit to get all of those points on your body that sort of affect the different organs and different systems. And then, of course, you're also going to, like after you apply the first oil, which is balance, you'll apply it to all of those places that I mentioned, and then you'll also inhale it. And so it really is like almost like a full body experience. And so you would repeat that kind of process with each of the oils in general. There's actually a little cheat sheet that comes with the whole Aroma Touch kit when you get it in the mail. Jen's showing that if you're watching the video. It's super easy to do. And to be honest, it's like, if you don't do it perfectly, who cares? You're having that experience. If somebody's doing this technique to you, if you're lying down and getting that done by someone else, or if you're just applying them yourself, it's just a really great way for you to interrupt the stress cycle that we're all in. That's huge. I've talked
Very
about that on
huge.
other podcasts, like stress in itself, we hear a lot about it. Like we think it's just awful. Really, uninterrupted stress is what's awful. If we have periods, that's normal. We're going to experience periods of stress, but we have to have things that interrupt that. That could be several different things, going for a walk or taking a few deep breaths or, having like a meditation or, there's so many different things that could interrupt that stress pattern. This would interrupt the
Tapping.
stress. What'd you say?
I said tapping.
Tapping. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that reminder. But this is a way that you can interrupt that stress cycle and just support all of these systems in your body at the same time. So just think about it like that, another tool in your tool belt. And that it is something to where it is a technique that's best applied by someone else to you. It is more relaxing that way. You can actually relax and lay flat and have the technique done on you, a child could do this. My daughter could do this. It's very easy to learn. I just think it is a great way that, like Jen said, you can connect with someone else. Someone else can give the gift of this technique to a loved one. And I think in just this fast-paced world and we're so distracted, finding ways to connect with someone else is just a gift. Like connection is a gift. And I think
So
that
true.
this is just another way that you can connect and give such a gift that kind of keeps on giving even to someone, in your immediate family or obviously anybody really that you give this technique to. And so all of these oils do come together in an actual AromaTouch kit. You might have a lot of these oils laying around. They are very popular, common oils that you might have laying around. And so I will say, if you have some of these oils and you just want to try it, just try it, right? You can Google, how do you do an AromaTouch technique? I'm actually, by the time this is this podcast comes out, I'm going to record a video of me giving an AromaTouch technique to my daughter. So I will put that in the show notes so that you can see a demonstration. There are others on the internet as well that you can go Google. But I just think that this technique is something to consider when we are thinking of how we can just connect with other people, how we can interrupt that stress response, how we can just peel back different layers of healing in the emotional and physical and spiritual realm. So
Yeah, absolutely.
any
And I think
last
this
thoughts?
hits on all the high notes, Carrie. People talk about stress. Remember that commercial when we were younger and they used to like fry these eggs in a pan and they said, this was your brain on drugs. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yes.
Well, I feel like they should have a commercial now with that same of frying eggs, but this is your brain on stress.
So true. I mean, truly.
So, yeah. So anyway, what I was going to say is, stress does affect the immune system greatly. And so, obviously this is emotional and physical, but because of this specific layering, obviously, there was some, amazing thought by a really incredible doctor put into this when he, thought to address the nervous system, the immune system, the inflammation system, and the autonomic system, because they all play into not only physically how we feel, but emotionally too.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
when you're sick, when your cytokines are, bouncing around, when have a cold or a flu, you don't feel super happy and outgoing, do you? No, right? You just want to lay on your couch with a blanket kind of curled up and keep to yourself. So, they all do interplay, and this is just a brilliant example of how to address them together with really great results.
Yes. So we hope that this kind of just helps you to think about how you can continue your healing journey, adding something else in to really take it to the next level, to go to that next level. So we'll have a lot more information in the show notes and in the description of this video. And if you have any questions at all, or we would love for you to share if you have any experience with this. If you have any personal experience, share that. I think it's really encouraging to hear that, other people to hear that, for us to hear that. So we would love to answer questions or just see how you are feeling once you try this technique. Thanks for joining us
Absolutely.
on this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.